This episode is sponsored in parts by our friend Enterprise DB. Enterprise DB has been powering enterprise applications with PostgreSQL for 15 years, and now Enterprise DB has you covered wherever you deploy PostgreSQL, on premises, private cloud, and they just announced a fully managed service on AWS and Azure called Big Animal, all one word. Don't leave managing your database to your cloud vendor because they're too busy launching another half dozen managed databases to focus on any one of them that they didn't build themselves. Instead, work with the experts over at Enterprise DB. They can save you time and money. They can even help you migrate legacy applications, including Oracle, to the cloud. To learn more, try Big Animal for free. Go to biganimal.com/snark and tell them Corey sent you.
Hello and welcome to Last Week in AWS, the podcast, not to be confused with breakfast cereal. Happy Tuesday, and it's weird to say that, not on a Monday, but now that we're doing federal holiday observations, ideally I'll get to sleep a little bit more. Let's see what came out of AWS last week. Global Infrastructure Regions and Availability Zones has an update, the page specifically talking about those things. AWS updated them to show what services get added when they launch new regions and on what timeline, which is great. But it also doesn't go quite far enough. Take API Gateway. That's supposedly something that's there on day one of a new region, but Osaka and Jakarta still don't have support for their V2 APIs. Feature completeness is important, if only because that's what you discover mid-project when it's about to hurt you. UI improvements in AWS budgets. Now that I have an ultra-wide monitor that 6 weeks in is already on the fritz, so Dell's fixing that, I'm excited about changes like this that start taking advantage of the extra space to display more information. Announcing support for cross-region search in Amazon OpenSearch service. I dream of a world where I can search vast quantities of data that live across regions. I'd love a universe where global S3 buckets were a thing AWS handled for me that I didn't have to think about. Now, sadly, this release does not check most of those boxes, but it is admittedly a start. A quick path to Amazon EKS single sign-on using AWS SSO. Thank God. I thought for a horrible moment that this post was going to be about containers using SSO to spin up. If you only take one thing away from this episode, it should be that SSO is for humans, never automated systems. A political agreement on DORA has been reached, what it means for the EU financial services sector. Why do I have this sneaking suspicion that Dora the Explorer is about to find her overseas bank accounts problematic? Estoy a punto de ser acusada. That means I'm about to be indicted.
Let's face it, on-call firefighting at 2 a.m. is stressful. So there's good news and there's bad news. The bad news is that you probably can't prevent incidents from happening, but the good news is that Incident.io makes incidents less stressful and a lot more valuable. Incident.io is a Slack-native incident management platform that allows you to automate incident processes, focus on fixing the issues, and learn from incident insights to improve site reliability and fix your vulnerabilities. Try Incident.io to recover faster and sleep more.
How Mantium achieves low-latency GPT-J inference with deep speed on Amazon SageMaker. This is a huge marketing win for Mantium because for the first time in their existence, their company name isn't the most confusing and awkward word in the headline. Establishing RPO and RTO targets for cloud applications. When talking about outages, RPO and RTO are important. Something that's even more important and overlooked. Figuring out in what circumstances you're going to activate your DR plan. You feel ridiculous when you start a 30-minute cutover and the service that went down comes back 2 minutes into the procedure. Getting started with AWS Ground Station. I sure would like to, but my request for access is now years old with no word as of yet. Wings for Life World Run uses AWS to scale when it matters most. I like the architecture. I like the post, but I would change its emphasis a bit. Scaling up is what everyone talks about. Talk to me instead about how, once the traffic is gone, how things scale down to either zero or at least damn close to it, because that is the interesting and valuable part of scaling that everyone glosses over. How to secure an enterprise-scale ACM private CA hierarchy for automotive and manufacturing. I don't build cars and I don't manufacture anything except complete nonsense, but having a private CA and then not bothering to secure it is absolutely the kind of thing I would want to avoid regardless. And finally, steps to start your AWS certification journey. Step 1 is pick a fight on Twitter. You'll get some hilariously bad takes about certification over there. And that's what happened last week in AWS. I'm cloud economist Corey Quinn. Stay salty. More to come.
This has been a Humble Pod production. Stay humble.